Namaste and welcome back to the Asana Sana Yoga Studio. This evening, I'm Sana as always, and welcome to Free Flow Fridays. And Free Flow Friday is essentially a class where each week is going to be something completely different. Maybe it's a flow that's based more on Vinyasa or a flow that's based on Ashtanga. Perhaps we will dabble in a little bit of Yin Yoga. You never know. So each Friday evening, 7 p.m. Pacific time, show up here. We can do some sort of free flow Friday. You get to learn a different kind of yoga style that you might not have known before. Tonight's flow is going to be more or less quad focused. So this stays in the traditional lines of our yoga that you might be more familiar with, your traditional yoga, hatha yoga. But this evening, we're going to work on working out and lengthening those quad muscles. Why? Because, well, being in the house a lot, working from home, you start to sit more, you're a little bit more inactive, and it can cause your quadriceps to become tight and your muscles in your legs to feel like a little stiff. So we're going to start this evening with just a good flow that's going to help lengthen out those legs, lengthen out the muscles so it's easier to move, maybe help with some lower back pain, maybe with some upper back pain, and all in all, just have a really good session and an excellent flow. So without further ado, I'm going to start the music. Everybody, let's meet down here, coming down onto the mat or into a chair, coming into Sukhasana, easy seat. And however you cross your legs, if your legs are crossed now, just go ahead and switch your legs around so that we can get a good balance in our hips and our thighs and our knees. So we're not holding ourselves in one position. Excellent. So we're all found here seated. And let's take a few moments here to ground ourselves before we start our class. Happy Lunar New Year to everyone, and also Happy New Moon as well. I hope you set your intentions for the next moon cycle. And remember, in 2 weeks, we do have our full moon class, so look out for that. From here, speaking of new moons, let's begin to set our intentions for our class. Let's take 3 deep breaths in and out through the nose, just to ground ourselves and bring us here into the moment. Excellent, good cleansing breaths. And nice and deep through the nose, filling up the belly. And out through the mouth, actually. That feels nice. And one more time. And now let's allow our breath to come back to its natural rhythms, breathing in and out through the nose. Let's take a moment here, placing our hands on our knees. You can either use the mudra, Om, or power mudra if you'd like. We're just going to sit here for a moment and just set our intention for class. What are we looking to get out of this class? How are we looking to feel? Are we going to be able to focus for this hour? And let's focus on focusing. Just give yourself this hour of time. Just have for yourself and focus on the yoga flow. And best of all, have fun. I will share with you my intentions. I intend to bring you all through a fun and productive flow that helps loosen up those targeted quadricep muscles, but also maybe you could try something that you've maybe not tried before, and we can see together how far we can expand our yoga practice this evening. It's just nice. Excellent. And with that, let's begin our yoga flow. So let's all meet here. I'm going to move my break aside. And we can come into yogi's choice here. We're going to start out. I'm going to do a wide child's leg, or a wild child's pose. I'm just going to bring my knees to the outside of the mat. And we're just going to come down into a child's pose. And I'm going to keep my child's pose up here on my forearms, but you are more than welcome to bring yourself down to the mat. And if you have a block or if you want to stack your hands right over left, you can go ahead and sit that here on your third eye. We're just going to hold this here, breathing in our regular rhythm, allowing our legs to gently stretch. Let's hold here 3 more breaths. Let's take our last inhale. And this last exhale, let's begin to find ourselves coming into tabletop. Let's keep our knees about hip width apart, and to measure that, just take your fists to kind of measure. It should be about You put apart. Let's keep our hips over our knees, our legs parallel to the back of the mat here, keeping our wrists under our shoulders so we can keep ourselves nice and supported. What we're going to do is we're just going to drop our belly, bring your head up, inhaling deep for cow, exhaling, curling that tailbone in, curling our head back in, coming into cat. And let's do this for, say, 5 more breaths. For 5 breaths. Go about your natural cadence. Two more breaths. And last one, let's bring that inhale, taking a deep exhale, bringing ourselves to center, feeling good. From here, let's drop our arms down to the mat slowly as we bring our chest down, chin to the mat as well, coming into a puppy pose. Just holding here, stretching out our upper shoulders and our upper back muscles. And let's hold this here for 5 breaths. Two more breaths. Excellent. Let's come up onto our elbows here and bring our hands just a little bit further than our shoulders as we come back into tabletop. Let's curl our toes, taking an inhale as we curl the toes. Let's exhale, sending the hips up into the sky, coming to that downward dog. And from here, let's start walking out those feet, warming up the ankles, rotating the ankles to one direction and to the right. Excellent. I'm just going to hold here, warming up our ankles and our feet. Walk in that dog. Let's give ourselves the time to warm up these joints that maybe we haven't been using as much as we usually have. Getting our legs moving in a way that we haven't moved them regularly. Feels kind of nice, don't you think? Excellent. Keep breathing. Maybe get your shoulders in it too. Warming up the wrists if you can, shifting the weight. Let's shake our head yes and no. Get ourselves nice and awakened. Excellent. And let's slow it down. Bring yourself to stillness. Let's walk our hands up to the front of the mat, gently, gently. From here, holding ourselves in a forward fold, making sure that we're keeping our pelvis tucked so we're not rounding our back. We want to keep ourselves nice and neutral. Let's grab a hold of our elbows and just move our hips from side to side, waking up ourselves, waking up our spine, moving our hips, hanging ragdoll. You can even let your arms drop if you'd like. Just kind of let them moving around. Just allowing that forward fold to kind of loosen up some joints, waking up our body. Feeling good about feeling good. You can bend your knees if you like. Nice and warmed up. Excellent. Let's slow ourselves down, coming to stillness. And if you haven't already, go ahead and drop your hands down to the mat. Let's take an inhale as we come up halfway. Exhale, forward fold once more. Let's inhale, bringing those hands up to the sky, coming down in prayer pose. Wonderful. Let's shake out our wrists, shake out our feet. Feel really warmed up. I don't know about you guys. I'm ready to flow. So let's start in our sun salutations A, or Surya Namaskar A. I'm so proud of myself for learning Sanskrit. Let's start at the top of the mat here. We want to keep our feet hip distance apart. You want to do that again, just with the fist. Making sure, eyeballing it, it's fine. Don't lock out your knees. You want to keep your knees located directly over those ankles, keeping them nice and loose so they're able to bend. And with the pelvis, you want to just do a nice tilt, keeping in that neutral pelvic tilt, bringing the ribs down over our hip bones, rolling the shoulders up and back, sending those shoulders blades down our back, and then bringing our head, nudging it up so that it's nice and parallel to the floor with our chin and our ears are directly over our shoulders. Getting started. Let's inhale. Let's bring those hands overhead. Exhale, coming down into that chair. Inhale once more as we exhale, coming down into our forward fold. Let's inhale up halfway. Exhale, placing the hands on the mat. Let's gingerly take a step back into our plank. Chaturanga. Inhale, exhale, coming up to the mat. And let's come up into a Sphinx pose. From here, let's curl up those toes in the back as we take an inhale. Exhale, sending our hips up into the sky into our downward dog. From here, let's go ahead and walk our hands, feet right back up to the hands. Coming here. Holding here, inhale, coming up halfway. Exhale, placing your hands back on the mat. Inhale, coming up. Very good. Let's do that once more. Inhale, let's send our hands straight overhead. Let's exhale into chair. Inhale as we swan dive down into our exhale, as we swan down into a halfway forward fold. Inhale, coming into a flat back. Let's exhale the hands back on the mat, taking a step back. Let's inhale, coming down into our plank. Exhale as we hold. Inhale, coming up into our upward dog. Curling those back toes. Let's take an inhale as we curl. Exhale, sending our hips up into the sky, coming into that downward dog. Let's hop or jump or walk our hands to the front of the mat. Inhale halfway. Exhale, flat back down. Inhale, hands come up. Exhale into prayer pose. All right, I feel here we could step it up a notch. Let's step it up into our Surya Namaskar, part B. Inhale those hands up into the sky. Chair pose as we swan dive, coming into front, forward fold. Inhale halfway up. Exhale, hands flat on the mat. Let's take a step back. So inhale, exhale, coming down. Inhale, coming up into that upward dog. Curl those toes, sending those hips back into that downward dog. And this time, let's send our right foot up into the sky. Inhale as we exhale, placing it down on the mat. Let's turn our foot, or keep our foot into straight. Maybe bring that left foot forward a little bit to straighten that pose. Inhale the hands up, coming into warrior one. Let's give this a nice breathe here as we stretch out that back leg and our front legs, waking up the quadriceps in both legs. Inhale, let's straighten up front leg, cartwheeling the hands down to the mat, taking a step back. Let's inhale, exhale on the way down, coming up, up dog. Let's curl those toes as we come back up to our downward dog. This time, let's send the left leg up into the sky. Inhaling, placing it on the foot in front of the mat. Shorten your stance if you need to. Inhaling the hands up as we come into our warrior one. Let's take a nice deep inhale as we straighten the legs, placing the hands back on the mat. Take a step back. Inhale, exhale as we come down. Inhale up into that upward dog. Curling those back toes. Let's exhale, coming into our downward dog. From here, you can walk or hop your feet to the front of the mat. Inhale, half flat back. Exhale all the way down. Inhale those hands up. Exhaling down into prayer pose. Very good. Let's do it again. From here, inhale the hands up. Come into that chair. Exhale as we swan dive, coming down into our forward fold. Inhale, halfway flat back, and make sure you keep it flat back. Don't round yourself. Exhale, hands down onto the mat, taking a step back to that plank. Inhale, exhale as we come on down, bringing ourselves up, taking a deep deep down dog or up dog. Curling our back toes, let's exhale, sending our hips into that deep down dog. From here, let's inhale the right foot up into the sky. Exhale it into between the feet. This time, let's turn that back foot coming up, inhaling as we turn into our warrior pose. So when we turn our back foot, you want your back foot to be facing forward and your heels to be lined up on an imaginary line running behind your feet. Let's send our right hand over the front here, and we're not bending our knees to go over our toes. Cartwheel those hands forward, turning that foot, taking an inhale. Exhale as we come down. Inhale once more as we come up into that upward dog. Curling those toes, sending the hips back as we exhale, that downward dog. Inhale the foot up to the sky. Exhale, placing it into the mat. Dropping that back right foot this time. Let's inhale, coming on up. Exhale into warrior one. Then this time the left hand into the future and the right hand in the past. Inhale, curl, coming to that cartwheel as we place our hands down on the mat. Let's step down, coming in to our chaturanga. Woo. Curling those back heels or toes, exhaling into downward dog. And from here we can hop or skip, walk, jump our feet forward. Inhale, coming to the half back. Exhale, placing our feet, hands back on the mat. Let's inhale, coming all the way up. Exhale, standing in to our fairy pose. Doing good. Let's do this one more time. Keeping ourselves nice and centered. We're going to inhale the hands up. Exhaling into chair. And this is really just for the benefit of our legs. So we can warm up everything before we get started. And as we exhale, let's swan dive forward, coming into that forward fold. Placing our hands down on the mat, let's take a step back. Coming into our plank. Exhaling down. Inhaling up. Downward dog. Curling the toes, exhaling, sending those hips back into, our downward dog this time. And then we're going to walk those feet, inhaling the right foot this time up into the sky. Exhale, let's bring that down. Let's bring our back foot a little bit forward. And instead of coming up into a warrior pose, we're just going to hold ourselves here, kind of turning out, exhaling into triangle pose. Just another way to wake up the muscles, wake up the legs. Kind of throw a little bit of a different flow in there. Let's inhale, bringing our hands back down to the mat, taking a step back, coming down into our plank. Come on up into that upward dog, yeah. And from here, let's take an inhale, curling the back toes. Let's exhale, sending our hips up into the sky, into our downward dog. Let's do the same with the left leg, sending that left leg right up into the sky, placing in between the feet, shortening the stance, coming up, keeping ourselves. Turn around, face you, keeping ourselves in that pose. We're just going to inhale as we twist our hand up to the sky, coming into our triangle pose, or a bit of a triangle pose, variation of a triangle pose. Promise. Excellent. Cartwheel those hands back down to the mat. Back around. We're back in our downward dog. Yeah. We're just going to walk the feet out, coming back into that downward dog. And from here, we're going to drop. We're going to come forward here with our right leg. So send that right leg right back up into the sky, bringing it forward here into between the hands. Let's drop our left knee. Inhale the hands up, coming into our crescent pose or low lunge, really getting those legs going. And we're going to hold this pose, slowing it down, holding it for 5 breaths. I deeply recommend, if you'd like, if it's within your practice, of course, to pulse yourself up and down to really just open up that hip, open up your quads as well. It really helps, especially if you've been sitting all day, you've been sitting on the couch in a weird pose all day. I'm guilty of that. Can really open up those legs. Of course, you can just hold yourself here and breathe. We're going to hold here for 2 more breaths. I love a good pulse on these. Excellent. From here, let's cartwheel those hands down to the mat again. Let's curl our back toes. Taking an inhale, let's exhale ourselves, coming up into our warrior 2 as we drop our back foot, cartwheeling our hands forward. And before I mentioned about our hands, one being in the future, one being in the past. Now, when you're in a warrior 2, your front hand, which is the front leg, is always going to be in the future, and your back hand's always going to be in the past. But you are here in the center, in the present. So don't worry about too much of this. Just keep yourself up nice and straight. Keep your knees from going over your toes. Keep those hips good and open. Stand firm in your warrior two. Two more breaths. Excellent. And on our last one, after our last exhale, let's straighten our leg out just a little bit here. And then as we take an inhale, let's turn ourselves, rebending that knee, exhaling, placing our front right arm on our thigh here, on our quad, and exhaling that left arm right over, coming into a side angle pose. Just holding, resting. 5 breaths. And if it is within your practice, you can inhale your face up to the sky, holding, keeping yourself strong, feeling good. Excellent. Now, for this next one, if you have a block or if you need one, please grab it. You're going to put this right in the inside of the hand. Coming from this side angle pose, if you need to shorten your your stance, go right ahead. Let's drop our hand down, shifting our weight forward onto our right arm or our right leg. We're going to just gently bring up the back foot, coming into our half moon pose. And if this balance pose is not within your practice today, please keep yourself in a pyramid pose or a triangle pose if you'd like, or even a pyramid pose here. Excellent. And now if you're feeling like, I feel pretty good with this position, let's see if I can up the ante. Let's take an inhale as we curl our leg back. Exhaling, grab that ankle, coming into Sugarcane Pose. That really opens up the legs there. This is nice. Opening up the quadricep on the left leg in a way that you probably haven't thought of before, eh? If this is not within your practice, you'd like to stand, you can go ahead and balance yourself. Open up your leg this way. That works too. Feels good. Either way. I will meet everyone who's in Sugarcane back in Sugarcane. And however we are, let's release our hand, coming back into that half moon. And everyone, let's go ahead and turn ourselves forward, placing that foot back down. And let's hang out here for a moment. And forward fold. Excellent. And let's just ragdoll once more. Opening up those hips. Bet you didn't think you could do that. I always like this particular flow because often if I said to people, we're going to sugarcane in this class today, you're going to be standing like this with your hand down. Often I can't do that. So I find if we just kind of go through the warm-up, keep it part of the warm-up, do the first side, hey, you can do that. So now when we do the left side, you're going to be like, oh, I totally got this. Let's get it going, right? Exactly. So I'm going to turn myself to face you this way. We're all here. I'm meeting you here in your ragdoll. Let's walk our hands back to the front of the mat here, coming back into a downward dog. And let's walk our downward dog, our legs out, walking them out, because you are definitely going to be kind of tight here. And that's totally cool. This time, slow it down. Inhale that left leg up into the sky to our three-legged dog. Exhale, placing it between the hands. Let's drop that back knee. Inhale as we come up into our Crescent Pose. Excellent. And here you can do the same. Go ahead and open up that hip. Now we're going to go around this twice. We do this twice on each side. I would like for you to note how it feels each time you get into your sugar plum or you get into your half moon. And if you haven't tried it the first time through, see if you can the second time. I encourage it. Excellent. Slow it down if you've been pulsing. Meeting everyone here. Let's bring our hands to the mat as we curl that back toe. Inhale, coming up into, but dropping that back foot, coming up into our warrior two. Keeping ourselves in the present, allowing the future to be past us, gazing ahead into the future, but knowing we'll be fine, keeping ourselves nice and grounded. Excellent. Pulsing if you need to. Feeling the tension, feeling the strength in your body. And on that last inhale, let's inhale, bringing that left arm to the left quad as we bring our right arm overhead, coming into side angle pose. Excellent. Just holding here, feeling it. And if it is within your practice, you can go ahead and turn to face the sky. Feeling the strength of your arm, seeing the strength of your bicep as you're holding yourself nice and firm. Excellent. And if you need a block or it's within your practice, let's go ahead and position our block, getting ready. Let's bring our hand down. Inhale as we start to do the motions of bringing our foot up, coming into our half moon, if that is within your practice. If not, you are more than welcome to hold yourself into a triangle pose variation if it's within your practice. Just don't place your hand on your knee. You can even keep your hand on your ankle. Or you can even come into a warrior three. That is another variation. We hold ourselves here. It's a little difficult. Like I said, note how it feels on one side from the other. It's a little difficult for me to do this pose on this side. It's not a good side for this particular pose, but that's okay. That's why I keep doing it. And if you are here in half moon and would like to extend that practice, now is the time to curl that foot back, grabbing your ankle, exhaling, coming into sugarcane. What a pose, huh? Whoop. Maybe this time I'll just balance myself up here with this particular one. Coming down later. Excellent. Let's inhale for the last time in this pose. Exhale if you're in sugarcane, releasing that foot. Everyone turning our hands down into the mat, coming down into our forward fold. Woo! Woo boy. All right. Now we're in this forward fold. Let's take our peace fingers here, wrap them around our big toes, getting them nice and gripped. We're going to inhale, hanging in this forward fold. Let's heel toe a little bit out. Exhale, coming into Malasana, into a yogi squat. Inhale, sending our hips up into the air. Exhale, coming down. And let's just keep doing that with our breath. Waking up those legs. Getting movement and blood flow back into legs. Perhaps you've been sitting all day or laying all day. There's nothing wrong with that. But it is nice to move the body. Move it around once a day. Show us love. Playing around like children. Good times. Doing good. Keep warming that up. See how much easier it might feel now to get into your squats. Let's do our last one. Exhaling, Vinyasa. Inhaling, we come back into that forward fold. Let's meet each other back in that downward dog. I'm going to grab a block here. And from here, let's do the sequence again, starting with our right leg. And this time, really note how it feels, how different everything feels now that we've gone through it. I'm going to go through it again. Inhale that foot right back up into the air. Exhale, placing it on the mat. Let's drop that left knee. Inhale our hands up. Coming into our crescent pose, low lunge. If you can, let's see if you can sneak your foot a little bit forward. See if you can come a little bit deeper. If you have blocks, you can always use them to help out with anything. These are absolutely, or pillow, blanket, even absolutely the best thing to use. Always use props if you need them. Even if you don't need them, give them a try anyway. You never know. Take our last inhale and exhale in this pose, cartwheeling our hands down into the mat. Shortening that stance. If you snuck your foot a little bit forward, let's curl those back toes, taking an inhale, exhale, bringing ourselves up, dropping that back foot into our warrior two. Really feeling us present and grounded in the moment. I really want you to feel your feet on the mat, your knee, your quads holding you as we look forward into this year. Happy Lunar New Year. Breathing, keeping that chest open. Every time we exhale, let's send out love to someone who might need it. Every time we inhale, let's bring love into our hearts to fill the parts that we may not love so much about ourselves. And after that last exhale, as we inhale, let's turn ourselves, placing our hands onto the top of our quad, extending into our side angle pose. And if it is within your practice, you can go ahead and turn your head to face the sky. Feeling good. Keeping breathing, feeling our strength. If you're going to use a block or any prop, let's get that ready. As we inhale, our hand down to the mat or to the block, shortening the stance if necessary. Let's bring up that back foot. It's hard to watch myself doing this. As we exhale, coming into our half moon pose. Excellent. Ooh. And warrior three, if that's more your speed, or that's more your practice this today. That's totally cool. I just love doing a half moon pose. I often try this even anytime a moon event's going on. And if it is within your practice, let's inhale that foot to the back, exhale, coming into sugar plum. You guys look great, all of you. And even if I can't see you now, trust me, you look fantastic. This is not an easy pose. This is definitely more of an intermediate pose. So if you've nailed it and this is your beginner yoga, you're doing great. And if you haven't nailed it yet, you will. It took me quite some time. Just keep practicing. You got this. Let's exhale that and releasing that leg, bringing that foot up to the sky. Inhale, everyone turning forward as we meet. Bring our hands back to the bottom of the mat here in that forward fold. Woo! Let's just go ahead and open up those hips once more. We're going to turn. I'm going to turn to face you, but let's heel toe those feet open just a little bit. As we inhale, let's exhale, coming to the right, squatting our hip down, bringing that foot up, coming into Sukhasana, side lunge. And just hold here for a moment. Opening up the hamstrings as well. Because you loosen one, you got to loosen the other. Excellent. Let's drop that foot as we come back into our forward fold, wide leg. Inhales in the middle. Exhale as we come down into that left side, bringing up that right foot. Skandasana. Side yogi lunge. Feeling good. Excellent. Let's drop that foot back down on the mat, coming back to that wide forward fold. I'm just going to turn to face you guys. Let's turn our feet together, walking our hands down, coming back into that downward dog. Once more, let's walk out those hips as we get ready for the flow on the left side. Excellent. Let's inhale that left leg up into the sky this time. Exhale, bringing your foot down onto the mat. Let's go ahead from here, dropping that back knee, releasing the leg. Inhale, coming up into our Crescent Pose or low lunge. This is a fun pose. If you have nice dramatic music on, you can just feel it. Excellent. Doing good, really feeling that good, deep stretch as we drop our hips. Wonderful. From here, let's inhale those hands down to the mat, curling that back toe. Let's take an exhale as we come up, dropping that back hip or foot into our warrior two. We're going to hold here a few breaths. Setting our intentions and looking ahead into the new year, really feeling it. Really set your intentions, you guys. This is a good time for all of us. Excellent. I see you're already ready to go. Let's inhale, coming down, bending that front knee. Exhale as you come into our side angle pose. Go ahead and turn your head up into the sky if it is within your practice. And let's get ready to prepare ourselves for this half moon pose. Remember, I very much encourage you to try it if you haven't tried it the first time. So prepare ourselves, straightening out that leg, dropping our hand to the mat, taking an inhale as we kind of lift that back leg up, using a little momentum if necessary as we come into our half moon pose. Ooh. I'm going to turn mine this way. There we go. And if it is within your practice, you can go ahead and pull yourself into a sugar plum whenever you're ready. Oh, let's see if I can do it on this side. Here we go. There we go. I think I got it. Some days may be good, some days may be bad. You never know. Excellent. Let's inhale, releasing that leg, coming back into our half moon. Let's cartwheel our hands back down. Oh, coming into our forward fold. Excellent. And do one last round of yoga dynamic squats with our peace fingers around our toes. It's opening up ourselves to a wide leg fold, forward fold. Exhaling down, inhaling up. Last of the stretching, kind of making sure we got everything that we needed to open up in our quads and our hamstrings, our calves, and our shins, our hips, making sure we got everything nice and limbered up. Getting some good blood flow. Awesome. Let's go ahead and bring ourselves to stillness. Let's come back into that downward dog. And let's continue to walk our feet out just a little bit, coming into our plank. And from here, we're just going to plank to upward dog here, to downward dog. Just as a flow. Coming to plank, upward dog, downward dog. Moving with your breath. Inhale, up. Exhale, down. Inhale, up. Exhale, down. Almost done, you guys. Let's do two more. Inhale, up. Exhale, down. Two more. Almost done. Inhale, last one. Up. Exhale, down. Very good. Now coming forward, let's inhale, lowering ourselves down onto the mat. Placing our forearms on the mat. Let's inhale, coming up to Cobra Pose. So we're going to hold here for 5 breaths. Reflecting on our last flow, that was really awesome. You guys look great. Some of you didn't think you could do it, but you did it. You half mooned, you sugarcaned, you looked great. Feeling good. 2 more breaths. Make sure you keep yourselves nice and engaged. Here. And one last breath. Let's take an inhale and exhale out. On our next inhale, let's inhale, pushing ourselves up a little further, coming into our seal pose. And if you do have a block, or pillow, you're more than welcome to go ahead and use that to help with support. Coming into seal pose, lengthening that spine, kind of pushing it in the opposite direction as we send our arms up. 2 more breaths here. Excellent. Let's remove the block here. And we're going to stay kind of in this shape. We're going to come into a bow pose. So lowering ourselves down a little bit on the mat, bringing our legs up into our hands. As we inhale, pushing our legs up, bring our heart up. We're going to exhale, holding into bow pose. Let's hold here for 5 breaths. Full bow, if it's within your practice, is here. If not, you can go ahead and half bow, feeling good. And if this is in your practice today, that's excellent too. That's all a bow pose. And we're going to hold here for 3 more breaths. And whichever your variation, just sink a little bit further into the pose with each exhalation. Taking your last breath. Exhale. Let's take 1 more breath before we release if you haven't. Exhale. Let's release, letting everything down. And from here, yogi's choice as we take an inhale, pushing ourselves up, exhaling, coming into a child's pose. I'm going to do a wide leg. Resting my head on my fist, right over left. And let's hold here for 5 breaths. Two more breaths. Last one. Taking that inhale. Let's bring ourselves back up to our knees. Exhale, coming into our hero's pose. And we're going to hold out into this hero's pose for a moment. If you have a block or a pillow, you can definitely use that to help with assistance if it's too much to sit on the back of your legs. But I want to hold us in this hero's pose for a moment. So we can hold here and recenter. Giving ourselves this moment within our yoga class to have a moment for ourselves. Closing the eyes if you wish. Let's just hold here and breathe. And don't worry about stopping your thoughts or even meditating. We're just going to hold this pose. Thinking a little deeper each time to really open up our quads. Excellent. Let's bring ourselves back into the attention of the room. It's nice to take a little moment for ourselves. You're moving around a lot, moving your body throughout the day even, doing a lot of thought processing. It's nice to just take a moment. Recenter yourself, to feel yourself in the moment. All right, from here, let's come back up onto our knees. I'm just going to turn here so you can see me for your benefit. And we're going to come into camel's pose. Into camel's pose, you're just going to arch yourselves back, grabbing your ankle if it's within your practice, or just holding yourselves. Uttanasana. So let's inhale ourselves, exhale as we bend ourselves back slightly. You can even use your hands to help yourself out. That's another variation. Coming back into camel's pose. Exhaling, dropping the head if it's within the practice as well. This is a wonderful heart opener that also opens up the quads as well. then this pose, I like to think about all the people that I think that might need love that I can send out to them. And as I inhale once more, bringing in the love that I need for myself, connecting with the universe. Two more breaths in this pose. And on our last inhale, let's inhale, bringing ourselves back up to kneeling. And as we exhale, dropping our hips back to the mat again, once more as we come into our child's pose. I'm going to use a block this time. Relaxing into child's pose. Breathing. Feeling yourself realign. Excellent. Well, last inhale. Let's find ourselves up in tabletop once more. And let's do some light cat-cows. Just inhale, dropping that stomach, arching the head back, bringing up the tail. Exhale, gently coming into that cat, curling your back. It's nothing we have to do that's as vigorous as before. It's just gentle this time. There you go. Let's do that with our breath, cooling our body down. Excellent. Let's do one last cat-cow here. Dropping for cat, or for cow. Lifting for cat. Slowing down. Bringing our bottoms to the mat. Swinging our legs around. We're going to come into lying. Not quite Shavasana just yet, but we're going to come into laying flat on our backs here. Let's inhale our hands overhead. Stretching is how you need it as we settle in for our last position. So we have our hands overhead. Let's inhale that right leg up into the sky. Exhale, let's grab ourselves here on the calf. Inhale as we straighten the leg as possible. Exhale, bringing that knee into the chest and lying leg extension. Ooh, really stretching out that leg here. Breathing in, rotating the ankles one way and another. Pointing, flexing, maybe massaging the leg a little bit. Feeling good about feeling good. And let's bring that foot into stillness as we inhale, bring the leg a little closer. Exhale, let's send it over the left side as we come into a twist. Stretching out that piriformis, twisting across the left side of our body, extending that right arm to the other side. From here, let's inhale, that knee coming back up to the mat. Let's bring our left foot flat to the mat here, placing our right ankle onto our knee. Let's inhale that left leg up. Exhale as we pull that knee into the mat, really stretching out that right piriformis, coming into a reclined pigeon. Feels really good. Let's inhale, really bringing that hip in for the last time. Exhale, sinking deeply into that stretch. Let's release our leg. Both legs flat down to the mat. Let's wiggle out those legs here. And this time, let's inhale the left leg up into the sky. Exhale as we catch it. Lying leg stretch. Let's really feel it. Maybe rotating that ankle around one way. Rotating the ankle around the other way. Massaging the calf, perhaps. Whatever feels good. And from here, let's inhale. Exhale as we bend that knee, twisting it over to the left, coming into our lying leg twists. Very good. Let's inhale, coming back up to center. Bringing the right foot flat, placing the left ankle on the knee. Let's come on up into that recline pigeon. Inhale as we grab the leg. Exhale as we settle into the pose. Ooh, yes. That feels nice. Feeling good. Excellent. Inhale as we pull our leg in. Exhale, really getting into that pose for the last time here. And let's release, bringing our feet and legs to the mat straight through. As we now drop our feet and drop our hands open, relaxing as we come into our Shavasana. If you haven't already, go ahead and flutter your eyes shut. Let's take 3 deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. Let's settle in, focusing on our breath. And while we're here in our Shavasana, I'd like you to go ahead and reflect on what you've been through today, everything we went through in this yoga flow. If you tried something you never had before, or you pushed yourself into a pose you didn't even think you could do. And if you didn't, that's great too. You came to class, and that's amazing. To really thank our bodies for showing up for this, and our minds and ourselves. And at this point, if you should feel like your mind is racing and wondering, like, what are we doing in this corpse pose? I can't lay here. I have other things to do. It's okay. It literally happens to all of us. Just bring your attention back to your breath. Really take this moment for you. This is what you deserve. A nice break. And before we come up from our Shavasana this evening, I'd like to read for you a passage from the Daily Stoic. This passage today is on protecting your peace of mind. Keep constant guard over your perceptions, for it is no small thing you are protecting, but your respect, trustworthiness, and steadiness, peace of mind, freedom from pain and fear, in a word, your freedom. For what would you sell these things? Epictetus. The dysfunctional job that stresses you out, a contentious relationship, life in the spotlight. Stoicism, because it helps us manage and think through our emotional reactions, can make these kinds of situations easier to bear. It can help you manage and mitigate the triggers that seem to be so constantly tripped. But here's the question. Why are you subjecting yourself to this? Is this really the environment you were made for? To be provoked by nasty emails and an endless parade of workplace problems? Our adrenal glands can only handle so much before they become exhausted. Shouldn't you preserve them for life and death situations? So yes, use Stoicism to manage these difficulties. But don't forget to ask, is this really the life I want? Every time you get upset, a little bit of life leaves the body. Are these really the things on which you want to spend that priceless resource? Don't be afraid to make a change. A big one. I love that passage. And with that, let's begin to invite movement into our body by wiggling our fingers and wiggling our toes. Maybe bouncing your legs, moving your shoulders and your arms, moving your head from side to side. Let's take an inhale as we roll ourselves to one side, either the left or the right, however you'd like to get up. And gently push ourselves up into seated with eyes closed if possible, coming into Sukhasana, easy seat. And remember, switch the legs around. Let's inhale those hands up to the sky, exhaling as we bring them down into prayer pose. And if you haven't already, go ahead and flutter your eyes open. And I would like to end this class today by saying thank you so much for joining me this evening. I hope your quadriceps, your hamstrings, your piriformis, your lower back, your body, all of those things are feeling much, much better now, having done this flow together today. And as always, I will see you next week at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for our Free Flow Friday. Stay tuned onto my Instagram to see what kind of class we'll be doing for that. I'll let you know the day of. And before I let you go this evening, as always, be the light you wish to see in the world. See the light you wish to see in the world. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Everyone, thank you so much for joining me this evening. Can't wait to see you again. Peace.